metaphor back for more. They kick the raw, represent everyone's you and I verse. Some unreleased music for y'all. Y'all ain't had this on the page yet. We're gonna go ahead and drop this for you, y'all. Yeah.
It's recreation in progress. You ain't seen shit like this yet.
Gonna need like 10 digits if you want me to sign that. It's recreation in progress. You ain't seen
shit like this yet.
Gonna need like 10 digits if you want me to sign that.
Don't play with 'em.
Or I be on the roof. Ain't no time for it. Alakazam, weak ass on your sofa, no advance. Now, how you gon' counter that? I'm made with the footwork. Make a girl, jaw hurt, that's wet work. Don't get a fucking wet shirt.
All I do is smoke it loud. Say the wrong shit at the whole crib.
Tweaking out,
Whole cheap shit.
weak as out. Got it out. What up now? Recreation in progress. You ain't seen shit like this yet. Gonna need like 10 digits if you want me to sign that shit. It don't play with them. You ain't seen shit like this yet. Gonna need like 10 digits if you want me to sign that shit. It don't play with them.
I do the collateral.
A whole industry. Roll dice. 7 twice. 7 twice.
I do the magic. Got fake eyes. I rip the mask.
All they got is fake lives. Bitch, all you rap like AI. Cross over and leave you on the whole globe. Don't stumble. J-Hope, I know you a little soldier. Fold up like a whole wood. I packs the Mac in the back of the act. On the map, but kick it straight, raw rap. Don't get bitch slapped. Talking out your face like that.
You ain't seen shit like this yet.
You're gonna need like 10 digits if you want me to sign that shit.
Don't play with it. Recreation in progress.
You ain't seen shit like this yet. And that's gonna be called Vest. That's gonna be on some new joint y'all ain't heard yet. You know what I'm saying? Cooking up. I'm like a chef in the kitchen. Yeah, you know, I ain't had no blickers, but in the background, got that blicker. Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and get into the moon. About to enter Leo. We have the moon in Cancer right now at 28 degrees, meaning it's a cusp with Leo. So it's just about to enter that moon in Leo. And whenever the moon hit Leo, everything hit the fan. That's just how it go down. You dig? So with all this being said, we also have the sun entering Scorpio. So keep in mind, the first couple degrees of that moon in Leo, we're going to experience that square between the moon and the sun. And throughout this whole video, the first video I do right now is going to be all about the alignments and how things align to each other and how the planets work with each other based on their transitions and based on how those transitions are affecting us in the actual present time and space that we're dealing with right now. Then after the fact, I'm going to go ahead and break down all the rising signs, first to the 12th house, influences on all rising signs, so you're going to know what area of life the moon in Leo is going to be hitting you, right? So with all this being said, shout out to everybody that's actually in the chat, you dig? And shout out to everybody that's hitting the subscribe button, making sure they hit the bell, you know what I'm saying, and hitting the like button as well. Shout out to everybody that do that, because I'm very grateful, because that let me know you actually in tune with the movement you need to be in tune with, you heard? It's like camera, I'm getting the pewters pewing, you heard? So yeah, we're going to go ahead and break all this down. Moon in Leo, keep in mind, there's a little bit of a narcissistic time. It's like a space that everybody feels like this is their time to shine, and they feel like they're the only one that actually should be on the stage. So don't get too big-headed at this point in time to the point where you think the world revolves around you. Now you need to realize that, okay, you need to be a cog in the wheel to actually work properly with others, to actually inspire others. You know what I'm saying? So like hustle and motivate, so to speak. Shout out to the Leo Nipsey Hussle, you heard? It's essentially in the space that you want to be able to hustle, you know what I'm saying, to be proud for what you got, you know what I'm saying, going on. It's like that pride, but also you instill the motivation in others as well, because you got there going and getting it, you know what I'm saying, let others know they can go and get it as well. That's what the Leo energy is all about, you know what I'm saying. You allow everybody else to shine based on how much you shine, and people want to be around you because of the light that you're producing. So keep that in mind. You want to make sure you're producing the proper light, and whenever everything, quote unquote, hit the fan, I'm saying you want to make sure you're in the space that everything that hit the fan is actually in a beneficial space. And keep in mind, this is like the waning phase, because we had that full moon in Aries, and at this point in time, we're working towards getting back towards the new moon, which we're going to have in Scorpio, right? So at this point in time, you want to realize what expression you need to shed, or learn to shed those certain expressions that actually don't benefit you, based on they're kind of put you in a dark space. You want to learn how to utilize the proper emotion to actually express the proper thing. And I'm saying, let me get a little sip of my lemonade, sipping that tea. And I'm gonna give you all the tea on the planets, right? So, like I said, we got the moon in Leo, and it's also gonna sextile the Jupiter being in Gemini, right? So Jupiter being in Gemini, sextile the moon in Leo, we gonna be in this space that we're able to see the opportunity to expand oneself and have expansion based on the conversations that we're dealing with. So we're gonna feel like, okay, whatever we're focusing on in emotion in our emotional state, those emotions we're gonna deal with actually expanding things based on the actual communication style that you're dealing with and whoever you're communicating with. So make sure you're communicating with the proper individuals to actually benefit oneself, right? Then we also have the moon sextile and Lilith, right? So it's essentially seeing the opportunity to focus on your darkest moment and realize what makes you embarrassed based on what your based on your relationships or what you're relating to. And keep in mind, you actually want to have integrity with oneself to a point where it's like, okay, I actually feel comfortable shining and producing this light, and this light that I'm producing may have the certain opportunities to actually see what is actually embarrassing for oneself or what kind of leaves my partner in embarrassment. I'm saying what's like a dark moment to a point where it's like how I'm relating is actually like a dark light. You know what I'm saying? To a point that it's like this moon in Leo makes you be in a space where you see the opportunity to actually have an embarrassing moment occur. So you're able to see like, okay, if you like kind of think before you act a little bit and you realize that everything doesn't revolve around you and you actually think about what is actually warranted to say and what is the right space to be in based on this relationship, you're going to be in a little bit more of a beneficial space and be able to kind of maneuver a little bit and like navigate, so to speak. And dude asked an interesting question. Who will win this conflict? We'll put it that way. Neither side wins. Two wrongs don't make a right. You heard? I'm going to just put it simple as that. So, yeah, if you went in the asking that kind of question, I'm saying you kind of clickbaity. You know what I'm saying? You should know that already. And we all know that's not what this video is about, right? So the moon is also going to be squaring the sun and also Mercury. Like I mentioned earlier, the moon squaring the sun is going to be in this space where we're learning to produce the proper light to actually benefit us based on our internal passions. So essentially, the moon in Leo, sun in Scorpio is a space that we're producing the proper light to bring our passion to the forefront, essentially. That's like kind of like the whole premise and whole purpose behind this video is letting you know that like if you produce the proper light, then essentially you're going to be in the correct learning process to essentially put yourself in the right passionate emotion, right? And take action upon the proper passion, essentially. So like you don't want to be too expressive to a point where it doesn't actually benefit you in the long term, because we just starting out the Scorpio season. Don't put yourself in a dark space just because you want to be in the right space, right spot. Yeah, you're. I don't know. Shout out to KD. You know what I'm saying? I don't really know who you is, dog. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, shout out to you. And with all this being said, we have the moon also squaring Mercury, right? And Mercury being in a space that it's kind of debilitated. Like you think about Mercury being in a water sign. Oh, you're shout out to Kari. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, yup. I salute you for tapping in. You're thank you for being a part of this. So like you want to keep in mind at this point in time, we have the moon squaring the Mercury, right? And the moon being in a space where it's squaring Mercury, I was mentioning previously before that, Mercury is in a space that is kind of debilitated. So like whenever Mercury's in the water sign, some communications may be a little bit more emotionally involved instead of actually just getting across the actual message that you want to put forth. So we want to realize that whenever the moon is squaring, you know what I'm saying, this Mercury, it's going to be in a space where, oh, word, yeah, bless, you know what I'm saying? I salute you for tapping in. Thank you very much, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, getting back to where I'm at, we want to realize that whatever emotions that we're in, we want to be in a space where we can actually learn to get across the proper message and realize that we might be a little bit too emotionally involved. And these emotions that we put across might actually put us in a non-beneficial state, non-beneficial space. Because you think about the 90-degree angle between Leo and Scorpio, it's like this pressure. So essentially, we're gonna have pressure to actually bring the proper emotions to the forefront and learn from those emotions to actually communicate the proper message. So it's like you might not want to be too emotional or think that you're too much at the start of the show because you end up going to get stung. You know what I'm saying? You say the wrong thing at this point in time, it's going to end up kind of like stinging you eventually. Because that's what Scorpio all about. It puts you in a space where it's like, oh, dag, like that thing I said previously, it put somebody else in this internal passion to a point that they kind of held a grudge, right? But yeah, shoot. Shout out to that dude. You know, that's pretty wild. That just kind of scrolled across my video. I'm very grateful for everybody that's in the chat and everybody that's here present with me because you could be anywhere in the world, but you here with me. You know what I'm saying, enlightening oneself. So yeah, we have the moon also trining Venus, right? So Venus is in Sagittarius. So essentially, we're feeling very free based on our values or our way of loving, you know what I'm saying, or having appreciation towards things. And keep in mind, Sagittarius likes to be free. So essentially, we're going to be having the gift to be very free with our emotions and our expressions that we're bringing to the forefront, right? And the light that we're producing. So like, this is a time that like, if you want to go for a relationship, this is probably your best chance to go for it. You might as well just let it all hang out, so to speak. Pause. No homo. You heard? And we also have the moon trine in North Node and also Chiron being in Aries, right? So Aries is a space that's very individualistic and all about your individuality. And yeah, shout out to my people from India. I see y'all the second most viewing country on my page. I'm very grateful for y'all. You heard? Shout out to y'all. And getting back to it, so essentially, like I say, the moon trine of Venus is going to have the gift to actually value this expression or value this freedom that you're dealing with, right? And then also the North Node and Chiron, the North Node individually is going to be in a space where you're going to have to work through uncomfortable circumstances to actually achieve your individuality and being the first one to do something. So essentially, that uncomfortability is going to create growth in your individual life, right? But with the moon being here, we're going to see like, okay, this light that I feel comfortable producing. Yeah, yep. We all from the stars, you heard? But yeah, like I say, we're going to have the moon trine in the North Node. So essentially, this moon in Leo is going to have us have this light that we're feeling comfortable producing to a point that we can actually focus on bringing our individuality to the forefront and see how can I be a unique individual and be the first one to do something and kind of be in this uncomfortable space that actually creates growth for oneself, right? And then also Chiron being here. Chiron is in a space that's like described as the wounded healer to a point where it's like Chiron's the asteroid that got hit with the arrow, but now it knows how to be more wise based on the injuries that is like dealt with, right? So essentially, this light that we're producing with the moon and Leo and feeling comfortable with, we're then in turn going to be able to have the gift to feel more comfortable having this individuality about the wounds that we've dealt with. So essentially, those wounds are something you could actually benefit from. You could say like my scars are like kind of like my testimony, like so to speak, or like shout out to AK the Savior. He put it real well. He's got a song named Scars featuring Saigon, you know what I'm saying? Or Saigon. I forget how you say it, Sagun. But yeah, AK the Savior got a dope song called Scars. And yeah, all of the scars be my credentials, you know what I'm saying? And it's pretty much a perfect depiction of this. So essentially, you feel uncomfortable having your own light that you produce, and you're with the moon being here. You're then in turn having the gift, you know what I'm saying, learn from that scar that you worked with, you know what I'm saying, to have the gift to actually be an individual based on realizing my scars are all individualistic to oneself. And that's like my credentials. Real good way to put it. But yeah, moving forward, we also have the moon in conjuncting Saturn, Neptune, and Pluto, right? And keep in mind that in conjunction is a misunderstanding. So essentially, this light that we're producing is having this misunderstanding because it's in the Pisces space. So Saturn being in this space of building upon your dreams, you might produce this certain light or have this certain expression that you're feeling comfortable with that actually is kind of counterproductive towards what you're building. You know what I'm saying? So you want to realize that think twice before you express yourself and realize this is actually going to benefit oneself for the future, or is this just going to like create a misunderstanding to a point that I was building on this certain aspect with this certain individual, or building with this certain individual about this dream or this kind of collective? Because keep in mind, Pisces is kind of like the collective, right? And I was building with the collective, but actually I have this certain expression that's kind of creating this misunderstanding to a point, is this actually something the individual works, that the light that I'm producing is actually working with it or working against it. So like you don't want to create a misunderstanding to a point where it's like you said the wrong thing and it's actually not building towards the collective that you want to be a part of, right? Building Saturn, Pisces collective, right? And then keep in mind, we also have Neptune being in Pisces, right? So Neptune also being in this collective space, this collective dream, essentially, you might realize that you might create a misunderstanding based on the light that you produce comparatively to the dream that you're working with. So essentially, if things don't happen right away and you don't get that instant gratification, and that light that you're producing actually isn't feeling, you're not feeling comfortable with it, you may have this misunderstanding to a point where it's like, maybe I should give up on this dream. No, essentially, you just want to keep on working towards something and kind of work with that Saturn space as well, to a point where it's like, okay, I'm present and I'm here every day, to a point that I actually am present. Like I say, I'm present and I'm consistent, to a point where people know when I'm gonna go live, and they know whenever the moon move, you can kind of check in with me and things like that. So like that's a perfect representation of astrologers, right? We check in whenever we have a new alignment, or an alignment like a astro report or astro weather report to report to y'all. And you know what I'm saying, we could actually work towards that and see how over time we could actually work with this collective to achieve this dream of everybody being more aware. And whenever the whole world is aware of oneself and their own energies, we're going to be in a much more beneficial space, just innately, right? And that's my personal purpose. Like I help oneself by learning these things and actually being aware of this, my surroundings, and then in turn I impart this knowledge and this wisdom to a point that everybody else can also improve one else's life, their own life, by actually working with the energies instead of against it. So it's like working with the current and staying with the current instead of just being washed up under it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you kind of want to surf the wave. You feel me? Last but not least, we also have the moon in conjuncting Pluto, right? So this in conjunction with this misunderstanding towards our deep transformation change, or you know what I'm saying, yeah, we'll just keep it a transformation to keep it a little bit light. You know what I'm saying? Pluto, I mean, dang, I almost said Pluto and Sagittarius, but I meant to say I got Pluto and Sagittarius. That's very left field. But YouTube don't like certain words. And Pluto is kind of like the ruler of people getting their TV turned off. We'll just put it that way. You know what I'm saying? So essentially, you may be in a space that you could produce this certain light based on you feeling comfortable with this Leo moon or this emotion that you're dealing with, to a point where it doesn't actually benefit you over the long-term transformation or things that you actually want to create deep transformation for in your life. So it's like this certain emotion that you're feeling right now, it's going to be over these next 2.5 days. But is this actually something that you want to see yourself doing over the next 10 to 12 years or 10 to 18 years? You know what I'm saying? So like Pluto is in a sign for a long time, and it's just finishing up in Capricorn and moving towards Aquarius, right? So essentially, based on whatever house that you have this Capricorn energy in, you want to realize that the Leo energy that you're dealing with might create a misunderstanding. So for example, I'm a Leo rising, right? So my own personal expression that I feel comfortable with, is it actually going to benefit me over the next period of time, and kind of change my routine and pattern to a point where it actually benefits me, or is it going to be non-beneficial because of the light that I produce? Like it's kind of like tricky, but you want to keep in mind that this certain light that you're producing now, it could create a misunderstanding based on what you're trying to transform into, so to speak. And yeah, that's all the alignments. So just to run them down, you know what I'm saying, we got the sun going into Scorpio. We have the moon also entering into Leo, right? We got Mercury in Scorpio. We got Venus in Sagittarius. And we also got Mars being in Cancer, right? Which is like kind of like right beside the Leo energy. So essentially, the moon is leaving Cancer right now, right? And it's gonna have it had just that grand trine occur, right? And you want to keep in mind this, like, oh shoot, you know what I'm saying, we got the sun in Scorpio, we got Mercury in Scorpio, we got the moon in Cancer, and then we also have Pisces energy as well, being in Saturn and Neptune. So we just went through this grand trine, or this focus upon our emotions. And you wanted to get your emotions straight to a point whenever those emotions hit the fan, being in Leo and the moon transitions, you want to see like, okay, am I going to explode in the right manner? Is it like, are things going to blow up for me in the proper space? You know what I'm saying? So it's like the seed that you're planting is kind of like blooming, so to speak. That's like that Leo energy, so to speak. And yeah, past Mars, we got Saturn being in Pisces. We also have Neptune being in Pisces, and Jupiter. Pardon me, I kind of went out of order, but Jupiter is in Gemini. And we got Saturn in Pisces, Neptune in Pisces, and Pluto being in Capricorn just finishing up. So yeah, that's all the alignments. Let me go ahead and break down all the rising signs next. I'm saying if you want to tap in with that video, go ahead and tap in my page. I'm saying make sure you hit the subscribe button, you hit the bell, so that way you know when I'm going live, and make sure you hit that like button. You heard? And peace and love. If you believe in all that, if you was looking to get a reading, go ahead and tap in the description. It's got my email below. And if you want to send me a cash app, it's CONSCIOUS 1347, because we haven't hit 1,000 subscribers yet to a point where you can send y'all super chats. So go ahead and send y'all donations through the cash app, and things of that nature. But like I said, I can go ahead and send you a menu for whatever kind of reading you want to get, if you want to get an insight upon these energies. So yeah, peace and love. You believe in all that, and stay safe or stay dangerous. I'm gonna go ahead and tap in with this next video. You heard?